as we get back towards the Liffey, we can see traces of old bonded warehouses that would have been next to the quays all those years ago. Well, they're still here, don't get me wrong, but that would have been their original use. They don't pull their punches here for Grant Thornton, appealing to, although we're in Ireland, appealing to politicians, because the English politicians are well known for using the revolving door once they are unelected. And we have emerged Liffey side once more with the ever-changing landscape. There was nothing here all those years ago. That's now the, I suppose, main area of the financial district of the city. And as I mentioned, just beside the financial district is the original customs house. Very impressive building too. I'm not too sure if they do any more customizing there, but another piece of wonderful architecture. And then to the left we've got the original skyscraper, Liberty Hall, that was built, and I see the sign there, ceasefire now, which the fact that it doesn't say release the hostages then have a ceasefire now means they're probably just supporting Ukraine, says he, being utterly sarcastic, knowing that Liberty Hall is one of those places that used to accommodate all the far left, totally far left, and so far left they'd fallen off the left unions, who of course aren't spectacularly knowledgeably known as being very sort of independently minded. And well, I won't go any further. This is meant to be a thing about Dublin and not about useless darn unions. And this is the back of the customs house. As you can see, quite a dramatic and fine building. I'm sure with those wonderfully kept gardens, it has to be used for something still nowadays. But it's too wet and miserable to try and find somebody to ask, to be quite honest. And that is, I don't know what. That's where the ambulances are made in Ireland. Nina, Nina, Nina. Sorry, awful. There's something very out of place. Well, of course, a lot of it's out of place when they put everything up, is the Immaculate Heart of Mary Church. And that's the City Quay Parish Church, stuck in between all the rest of everything going on. Yes, I know, Mr. Seagull, I know. Back in 2011, on my fourth previous visit to Dublin since leaving, I stood on this very spot to watch Her Majesty the Queen and Prince Philip go by in their motorcade. Now, isn't that an interesting fact? I'm not being funny, but they're wasting their time. Nobody has a clue what that means. Just behind ignorant left-wing Union House is something you see there called VHI. Now, I remember years and years and years ago, when I lived here, we all paid into VHI, voluntary health insurance, which meant that you got top-notch medical treatment for really very low cost. Now, I don't know if that's still the case nowadays, and I'm not going to stop anybody and ask, oh look at Deliveroo, just thought, oh crikey, I wonder if he come all the way from Manchester. Possibly has, judging by the state of his box. Got a bit wet as he crossed over the Irish Sea. Ah, I presume SIP 2 must be the drinking union. You've had one, sure, will you have a second one? Go on, SIP 2. We're okay with SIP 2. They've got their own silly slogan, organising to win. Goodness knows what they're winning. Is it that second drink, perhaps? And a quick view up the Liffey towards O'Connell Bridge. That's not O'Connell Bridge we can see there, it's the next one along. This is outside the Irish Life Centre, which is, well, it used to be an insurance company, I presume it still is, complete with plenty of twee statements. Now, I don't know if the universities have charity rag weeks anymore, but I tell you one thing, I bet the water gets switched off here when the students arrive with their bottles of fairy liquid. It's just asking for it, isn't it, really? Not that I would ever encourage such a thing. They've also got another building opposite with the customs house in the background. This is Lower Gardner Street, which all those decades ago, what these cars are doing now, stopped at traffic lights. You didn't do it in those days. You had to keep your car rocking gently forwards and backwards at the traffic lights so that nobody would steal your wheels. Seems to have changed somewhat now. The chameleon barbers has presumably changed from being chameleon barbers to use a K instead. And the Welsh church, that's... never remember that, to be honest. I've come for a wander down Talbot Street because all those decades and decades ago, when the Sound of Music first arrived, it was shown, I think, for 11 years on the trot at the Cinerama cinema. Now, Cinerama was the excuse for a slightly bowed screen that gave a better, better sort of cinema experience. I think where Eagle's Dare was the first one of those films that really impressed people with the way things jumped out of the screen. Not in 3D, but it was just altogether more exciting. And the great thing about the Cinerama here was that it was just located by the train bridge. So as you enjoyed your cinematic experience, you enjoyed trains going past. And no, I think it's fair to say that the Cinerama has made way for some new buildings and things, unless it was on the other side of the road. But even then, I don't see any signs of a cinema. And as we make our way back up Talbot Street, you can see the needly thingy on O'Connell Street, which is where Talbot Street exits. Eurasia, wasn't that a group with Andy Bell? No, maybe I've got that wrong. And I've just spied Store Street, and I think that was the most expensive orange property on the Irish Monopoly board. Cap has been put on now because it's quite cold. I must say one thing, I'm sorry I haven't got a gas mask because I must leave this area. If I stay too much longer and keep breathing in, I won't need to take a flight home. I'll be able to do it naturally across the Irish Sea. Oh, crikey, they spoke some strong stuff. I don't know if that's what remains of the once proud Guiney Empire, but Cleary's that we had a look at earlier in the video, and that was run by May Guiney. She was the heiress to the Cleary's fortune, and Guineys were everywhere. I have seen a couple of closed Guiney shops, but I'm not sure if all of these are related to one another. I have a suspicion they're not. There's one of the old original Guineys. You see, Ryan, he's a master cobbler. Me, I just talk ordinary cobblers. Nice little piece of street artwork just off Talbot Street. I'm amazed at Talbot Street, to be quite honest with you. And there's some more with the original Irish Life Centre in the background. As you can see, it spreads for, oh crikey, kilometres almost. Sorry, kilometres. A member of the Gardaí, the police, doing his business with a gentleman of dubious suspicions.
Okay.
Well, suspicions aren't dubious, they're probably correct suspicions. But dubious character, perhaps. Oh, the policeman's finished having words now. Now, there is a pizza emporium. Actually, just looking around Talbot Street, I'm absolutely amazed at the number of little restaurants all over. There's that, the Turkish one. There's a Brazilian one. There's a Teo. There's Central Brew. And there's also Playland that has a cafe in it as well. And there's a pasta bar. Hey, will you pasta bar, please? There's Ella's Haven, next door to the Wooden Whisk, one after the other. That's not all of them. In fact, I missed this wonderful building in the middle of Talbot Street. It doesn't say what it is, unless it's just called bicycles attached will be removed, which is a strange name for a company. Yes, it's definitely called bicycles attached to these railings will be removed. Why do they have to have the A and the two T's and R, W and B all first letter capitalized? That is so incorrect on so many counts. There's Shaska Bites. I hope she doesn't bite too hard and leave marks on my arm. There's Mr. Yummy. And noticeably near the top end of Talbot Street are the big chains. We've got Starbucks and then Pret-a-Manger. They probably know which side of their croissant has been buttered correctly to be up this end. Poor old Anne plainly couldn't cope with all the other restaurants and cafes. Yes, absolutely amazed at the number of cafes down here, because all those years ago in Talbot Street there was nothing apart from the Cinerama Cinema, and that was it. Oh, there's memories. You scroll through all those, I don't know what you might call them, press receptions for Peter and his brother Mark. And now I'm going back now 50 years ago. Oh, they were shocking. All the lovely with it people. Ooh. And here we are. General Post Office in the background with the big pointy thing. I'm getting a backache trying to get this in without falling over. This is called the Dublin Portal. I don't know whether it's a time tunnel or whatever, but also I should point out, I've been a bit incorrect actually. This is actually North Earl Street, which goes into Talbot Street, and they're both yellow properties on the Irish Monopoly board. And we'll swing round very quickly to have a look at statue of James Joyce. A Ulyssean statue. Oh, very nicely, just casually standing around in the wet. I know I'm being a bit creative spelling wise, but the lead singer of U2 and his Vox amplifier, well, yes, people need hearing aids after listening too much of him wailing away. Another stupid twee strapline. Unless it might be a physical spring and it wants to come out and play, as in spring, sprong, sprong. I'm delighted to say it's a kingdom of sweets, not just a mere shop. Beside a kingdom of chicken, KFC, kingdom of, oh no, maybe that doesn't work. I think Mrs. Brown will be quite happy here. Ah, sure, Fexco. A bit of a cheat now with the Guinness Brewery. Here's a shot of the internals of the actual brewery itself and then a view from the roof. But I'm cheating because I went last year when I came for my school reunion with my very good friend David, who very kindly took me along as a guest. But the reason is, as you can see going on now, I wanted to show you this wonderful wall of water. Yes, it's actually water forming the words that is inside the brewery. It's very relaxing, so I'll just a little bit of quiet music while you take it in. Well, I'm coming to the end of my little sojourn in Dublin, my little wander, and by gum, my feet know about it. I've just checked my stepometer thingamajiggany, and in the 3 days I have done, well, by the time I get back to the airport, over those 3 days, I will have done 42,000 steps, which means that for the rest of this week, I'm putting my feet up and doing nothing. Gosh, I hope you can hear me, but there's a right nice little dinky plane we're getting on. It's got fans instead of engines. Isn't this remarkable? Lovely, looking forward to this. Goodness me, what are those things that go round? Never seen those before. Haha. And of course, you have to have a queue. Well, everybody, thank you very much for watching this particular video. I'm off now back to Mancunia. As you can see, still a little bit of breath on the air because I arrived in gloom and it turned into a couple of pleasant days with total gloominess today, and it's finishing with quite a bracing, I might say, day as I head back to Manchester. Thank you for watching, and hopefully See you soon.